Man, you know how much money I spent on this MacBook Air? Yeah, me no gusta 720p cameras. Like, it's 2023. Well, I bought this in 2021. I paid about $1,000 for it, and like it's just not good in these lower light settings, though it's the middle of the day. So I apologize. Say hi in the chat. Let's see if it works. Say hello. Hola. Yeah, so I'm just doing a live stream because I wanted to hang out and basically say hi to anybody who wanted to pop in and say hi. ST, how you doing? From the Netherlands. What's the weather like there now? It must be freezing. I guess I could Google that. I'm in Granada, Nicaragua. It's super humid. Like I can feel the water on my body all the time. So I guess I should have a purpose here for people who watch the replay, which will be almost everyone. I'm going to talk about how to travel cheap, how to save money, because traveling doesn't have to be expensive. You know, I know a lot of people who go on 2-week vacations and they stay on resorts that cost $2,000 a week, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, money is freedom. Money is time. The more money I have in my bank account, the longer I can travel, or the longer I can live in a country that is more economically viable than Canada, for example, which is incredibly ridiculously expensive since the pandemic, and since everything that went down. So let me know in the chat the ways, or let me know how much money you spend, say, per month when you go traveling. And I'll tell you how much I usually spend. I usually spend around $1,200 Canadian, which is around 900 US dollars per month. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I've spent more. I've rented high-end apartments, and I've done every single tour and excursion that a country has, and I've spent most of my money drinking and partying, chasing girls, and doing dumb shit like that. So if you don't drink, you'll save a lot of money. I've pretty much quit drinking in bars. I almost never party anymore. It's just not my thing. I'm old. I'm getting old, even though I look young. I'm getting old, and I don't need to party so much. So my budget when I sleep is 400 US dollars a month. That's how much I said I'm going to spend to sleep. So that said, I usually sleep half the time in hostels and the other half the time in private rooms when I can get them for less than 15 US dollars per night. Now, I've had more expensive rooms, but I'm a minimalist and I really don't need a lot. I don't need luxury accommodations. I don't need air conditioning. I don't need big, comfy beds with, you know, uh, terraces that look out over the ocean. I love that. I love having that stuff. And if I was wealthier, I probably would have more accommodations like that, but I don't need it. So the first thing you should know to save money is how much money are you willing to spend when you travel for sleeping. So an ST with 900 US, you can live fine in a lot of places. Yeah, 900 US dollars, dude. And like most of the places I travel, if you look at my playlist, you're going to see Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Southeast Asia. Super cheap. There's a friggin' horse running by. Look at this place I'm working. A horse and buggy just ran by. Nicaragua. Yeah. South America, Colombia, Mexico. I'm going to, when I go to Europe, I'm usually in Eastern Europe. So I'm going countries where it's cheaper for my currency. And the way I check is I use a currency exchange. a currency app. The one I like on my phone is called Currency Converter. You can get it on the App Store. And whenever I'm researching a country to go, I'll look on the map and think, okay, let's check out the currency right now, and I'll look at the Canadian currency versus all the currencies of the places that I might want to go. For example, because I think in Canadian, but you might think in US. But let's put $1 in right now. So I'm in Nicaragua, and $1 is 36.75 Cordobas, which they call NEO for some reason. And then what I'll do is I'll hit the history, and right now it's sorted for 3 months, but I'll sort it for 1 year, and I'll look. Generally, you see that upward trend. Right now is a great time for your currency, if you're an American, to be in Nicaragua, because it's getting more valuable, right? So it's at an all-time high right now for the last year. That's one of the reasons why I'm in Nicaragua. One, it's one of the safest countries in Central America. Two, it's one of the most affordable at the moment. And the women are very pretty. That's a bonus. The Philippines, yeah, the Philippines are super affordable. Really cheap. Accommodations, not so much in the Philippines. Nothing like Thailand. Now, here's another thing, too. You might be looking at a country that you think the currency is cheap, but the accommodations might not be cheap. For example, if you go somewhere like Ukraine, post-war, it was a very popular place for single men to go, obviously. Or even Colombia. Now, it's cheap, and there's a lot of options for tourism, and food is not so expensive in these places, but they're not heavily touristed. Colombia is getting more so, but because they're not heavily touristed, the infrastructure for places to sleep, accommodations, isn't there. So even though a country might be very affordable, accommodations will be expensive just because they don't have enough guest houses, they don't have enough hostels, they don't have enough Airbnbs. Like El Salvador, for example. I was just in El Salvador. You can find really good deals on food and activities, but accommodation was expensive because they just don't have enough hostels, and most of the country isn't touristed. The only places people go are El Tunco and El Tunco. That's basically it. It's like a little tourist bubble in the middle of the country. And if you look, okay, let me tell you how I search for places to sleep. I use Agoda, Booking.com. I prefer Agoda. It's on the same network as Booking, and TripAdvisor and Airbnb. And I'll tell you how I use these 4 platforms to find cheap places to stay. I'll look up a place I'm thinking of going. For example, I was looking at Costa Rica out of curiosity. And so I'll go and I'll put my nightly budget of like 15, 20 USD. And then I will search by the map function on Agoda. And I'll zoom out and I'll zoom out and I'll zoom out. And it'll show me everywhere in a country where I can get places to sleep for that price on Agoda or Booking. And when I looked at El Salvador, there was only 2 places that I could afford to sleep unless I wanted to pay 40, 50 bucks a night. And that was down in the El Tunco beach area of the country. And so I was scanning around because Mexico right now is ridiculously expensive. Their peso is doing really well. The Canadian dollar is doing shit because we have a horrible government. Our leader is a moron, Trudeau, and our currency is doing really bad. So Mexico is just not cost effective at the moment, and good for the Mexicans. But I was scanning around all over, and the only place I saw like a lot of options in my budget on that map was in Nicaragua and Colombia, obviously. Nicaragua had big clusters of price sections on the map that I could see that were affordable. So that's where I went. The Philippines is also really cheap, but they don't have good budget accommodations outside of the top 5 tourist places. That's the problem with the Philippines. Thailand is amazing because you can get on a bus. You don't even need to book ahead and get off that bus in any town, any village in Thailand. There will be guest houses and hostels waiting for you, well within any budget, from $5 a night to $500 a night. That's why people love Thailand. And that's why it's one of the most touristed places in the world, because no matter what your budget is, you can find high quality, clean, comfortable accommodations. Here in Nicaragua, there's actually a lot of really nice accommodations, but you're not going to get aircon. So that's how I find budget accommodations. But actually, last year I found an even better trick. If you use your phone, you get better deals. So I usually use my laptop and I'm searching on Booking, searching on Agoda. What I'll do is I'll find the places that I'm interested in staying. Then I'll look them up on the same app, Agoda or Booking, on my phone. It's usually $1 or $2 cheaper per night. I don't know why, but I don't like searching on my phone because it's not a great tool. It's just less efficient. It's less user-friendly for me. So that's another tip. And the third tip, other than Airbnb, which is always a ripoff, is to use TripAdvisor. So go to the town that you're looking for. And for some reason in Asia right now, in Southeast Asia, if you use TripAdvisor, you're going to find way cheaper prices than on Booking or Agoda. And for some reason, there's it's an, what do you call it? It basically searches all the other platforms, Kayak, Booking, all of them. And it shows you the best prices. But because it's TripAdvisor, they get their own deals. So you can look up a place on, say, booking.com, then search the same place up on TripAdvisor, and you'll find it cheaper there, which it'll link you back to Booking, and you'll get a better price. It hasn't been working for me in Central America, but sometimes some places were like $4 or $5 cheaper if I used that TripAdvisor trick. I don't know if it's still working. Sometimes it's Expedia. You can try that out to get even better deals. And with Airbnb, you can just you just send them a message and say, hey, can I contact you on WhatsApp? Or do you have an email address? They don't want to pay Airbnb the fee. Nobody likes Airbnb. Airbnb gouges. They have a lot of fees that are just way too high. Hey guys, make sure you give me a thumbs up so I can publish this later and get some more views. Yeah, so I'll talk about flights in a minute, Justin. If you stay on, I'll tell you my process for finding cheaper. Right, so Airbnb, you can get them on the phone. Say, I have a few questions because I call you on the phone and you use Skype. And I pay like $10 every 6 months for some Skype credits or whatever phone call system you have. Maybe you have free long distance calling and call them. If they only speak Spanish, that can be difficult. Or, but you say, hey, if I just pay you directly, can I get a better price? Just be straight up with them. And a lot of the times you can get stuff like 50% cheaper off of Airbnb. Or you just book it for a week. And if you think I want to stay here longer, then you negotiate once you get there. Hey, I want to stay longer. Can you give me a better price than Airbnb? And you almost always will. The thing is that they might be booked up ahead of time. So you can always negotiate. Let me talk about flights a little bit. I primarily have found always the best prices, always using Google Flights. Go to Google Flights, and it's really a great tool for searching flights because you can search by month. A lot of people swear by Skyscanner. I haven't found any different results on Skyscanner. I find Google Flights is the best. But now there's all these budget airlines, and what they do is they gouge you on bags. So when you search by flights, you can say, I want to fly maybe in December, and you set your budget. Say it's $400. That's the most you want to spend flying one way, for example. What you do is you zoom out on the map, you set it to $400, but make sure you include carry-on luggage in the option above. Otherwise, you show up to the airport, and they go, oh, you have a bag. Even if it's carry-on, they'll say you're only allowed to bring the one that fits under the seat. Even though most airlines just a few years ago would allow you, because I have a 46-liter backpack and I have my one I carry in the front, the little one that goes under the seat, and one above. And that used to be all included. Now most of the airlines try to gouge you on that. So you got to search for that function now. It's loud here. It's getting loud. So search for that function and you will save a lot of time and energy. And there's really no way to get these cheap flights anymore because a lot of these, you'll find deals. And if it's too good to be true, it totally is. Like I found a flight from Vancouver to Lima, Peru for 150 Canadian, 100 US dollars. And I thought, oh, wow, what a deal. And I went to book it, but turned out it had a 48-hour layover in like Mexico City, and it didn't include any luggage. And plus it was through one of these third-party booking like companies. There's all kinds of third-party booking companies, if you know what I mean. You got to look at the fine print in these cheap flights, because if you book through them, 80% of the time they'll screw you over. The flight will get canceled. You'll never get your money back. It's always better to book directly with the airline. You look it up on Google. Google used to work really well 5 years ago. You could book everything through them. Now I really recommend, unless it goes straight to the airline, you just call the airline, book all the tickets yourself. If the one airline will book the other airlines for you, that's a bonus. Research on Google flights, book it yourself, and you're going to save so much headache. Trust me. Yeah, I always travel with one bag. It's an Osprey Porter 46. And they have a new version. I heard it's not as good as the old version, but I travel the whole world. I have if you look on my YouTube channel, maybe I'll post a link in the description after I end this video. I have one called One Bag Travel, how I travel with one bag around the world. And I show everything I pack in it. And I posted that up with Amazon links to all the products in my bag, and I made like $200 off people buying that stuff off Amazon. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll just keep rambling. Right. So traveling off season, obviously, dude, like if you're going to a hot place in December, November, January, the prices are going to be way higher. So how do you offset that? You book your accommodations 2-3 months ahead of time. That's how you do it. Or you travel in the off season. And in the tropical places, it's going to be rainy season. That's the problem with off season. There'll be more bugs, higher humidity, more rain. But if that doesn't bother you, you can get really great deals. Now, if you're in Eastern Europe, say you're going to go check out Poland, you're going to do some pipelining there, go meet some shorties out there in Eastern Europe or whatever, you only really want to go in summertime. Who wants to be there in the wintertime? So you really have to book 2-3 months ahead if you can. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with the worst deals. You can still find budget accommodations. If budget's not an option, then this video is not for you, but that's the best tip I can give you. I use Hostel World rarely until recently. Hostel World started being cheaper again. I don't know why, but Hostel World used to suck because they always added $2 or $3 in fees on top of everything. And you don't have to just stay in hostels. You can stay in guest houses and stuff. But still, I find around the world, Agoda for me is number one, especially when you get that like frequent customer status or whatever, and you get some better discounts. Most people use Booking. I don't like it because with Booking, say you want to book 5 nights, it'll show you the total for 5 nights instead of how much it costs per night in the interface. Then that is annoying for me. And it's always trying to push the most expensive options at you. And I'm always looking, I always start at the cheapest and then I scroll down and I read the reviews. What do the reviews say? And if it has like 100 good reviews and a good price, then I'll book it. Yeah. So let's talk about transportation. Dude, here in Nicaragua, I've been taking the local transit because, like, for example, I just traveled from Leon to Granada. The bus, the tourist shuttle it's just a minibus. It cost $18, right? But I took local transit, which was the exact same thing, but I had to go to a bus station, transfer onto the bus, and then come to Granada. It cost me $5. So I saved like 3 dinners. That's like 3 dinners right there I just saved. And most people are scared of local transit because it just seems like less convenient. But for me, I think like, say I save $20 in traveling costs, but it cost me an extra hour. That's okay. Now, if it's going to cost me 5 extra hours, then I'll take the more expensive option because my life is time. So that's when I'll pay more. Like I'll pay more for a flight if I don't have to do a 9 or 10 hour layover. Then that's another thing you have to look for in flights is how long are the layovers and where are you laying over? Because say you're trying to save money and you get like a cheap flight to Thailand, but you have to stop in Shanghai for 9 hours, where in the food court, a meal costs $15 for a rice noodle bowl or something. Now you have to eat 3 times, so you just spent $45 on food. In that case, and maybe you have to even rent a pod to sleep in. That's another $50. So trying to save money, you just spent $200 more. That's something you want to think about as well. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Chatty chat, you chatty guys, you chatty. Where the hell am I? Okay, live stream. Right. Okay, you're still here. I can't believe there's people still watching 20 minutes into my live stream. Hey, guess what, guys? I have a super chat function. Um, where are my notes? Okay, food and a heart attack. There was that one guy, that one travel vlogger who ended up in the hospital. He was Timmy Carter. Yeah, he was doing stuff with Bald and Bankrupt, and his gallbladder was full of stones. And he believes it's because he's been living off um, Latin American street food with the greasy food. And I love the greasy food. Nicaraguan food is delicious. But I've been cooking a lot more at home lately. And also, I've been fasting. So I don't eat breakfast, I don't eat lunch. 3 weeks now I've been fasting. I only eat dinner. I eat around between 4 to 8 p.m. And I'll usually make my own food. I have olive oil. I buy a ton of vegetables. I fry up the vegetables at my place. Right now I'm in a private room at a hostel. And I'll fry up my veggies and I'll add some beans usually for protein because I've been doing a vegetarian thing a little bit. I still eat meat, but it's been cleaning out my system and I'm losing weight like crazy and I feel great. I have tons of energy. And also I'm saving tons of money because I don't spend money on food all day. I just drink coffee, loads of water, and a little bit of electrolytes. So maybe I'm spending $5 to $10 a day. And then if I want to go $20 on dinner, I can have like a really great meal and it's like, who cares? I didn't eat all week. But that keeps me healthy is by cooking in the hotel. Yeah. And I carry around my own spices, hot sauce, and oil for whatever place. That saves a lot of money when you're traveling. Even though it's fun to eat out and I love going out for street food and stuff, but it really depends on what country because some countries their street food is disgusting and other places it's amazing. So it really depends on where you are. And if you're in a first world country, like there is no street food. There's going to be like $9 pizza slices. If you're in Berlin, maybe you can get kebabs, but that's one way you can save money. Now, I like to go to museums, and that's something. Art galleries and museums. I will always pay up to $20 to go to these things. But in the countries I've been traveling, usually $5 will get you in any museum, and I'll spend hours in museums just staring at paintings, listening to the audio guides, learning about the history. I love history. I love philosophy. I love art. I was just in Lyon and they had a whole room of Pablo Picasso paintings. And I love Pablo Picasso. Like his story is fascinating. He was just this womanizing asshole, but he was such a genius. And they had work from the Blue Period, which you very, very rarely see. I think it was all copies. It wasn't original prints, but it was still cool. But I'll save a lot of money because while everybody else is off on the party boat spending $200 getting loaded, I go to museums. And I spend $5 and I'll spend all day there. But I went through my partying stage. If you're into partying, you're going to spend a lot more money, man, because that's just the way things are. So packing light. Okay, one bag travel, dude. This will save you hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Plus, it'll save you from a heart attack, from having to put your bag under the bus, under the plane. Shit gets lost. People rob your bags. Like I like Osprey. This is my day bag. I take with me almost everywhere. My new one, I'm just trying it out. It's an Osprey Daylight Plus. It's actually a bit much, but I know people who travel with bags this big, like the world. I'm not that gangster because this is like a 20-liter bag. My main bag is 46 liters. It's called the Osprey Porter, but a lot of people like to use the Osprey Farpoint. Look up digital nomad one bag travel, and you will see lots of research on YouTube that you can do to pick a bag, but you don't have to pay for luggage. And even buses in Mexico make you pay $3-4 just to stash your bag underneath the bus. So one bag travel, be a minimalist. You don't need a lot of clothes. When shit gets stinky, you wash it. When I get down to my last pair of clothes, I wash my clothes. Also, I carry synthetic clothes. So this is cotton, but my underwear are always either merino wool which is expensive, or just not nylon, spandex. What do you call it? Not spandex, fake plastic. Basically, I wear plastic underwear. I can't remember the. Help me out in the chat, guys. What's that stuff called that they make synthetic clothing out of? That's like odor proof, sweat proof. What is it called again? Anyway, I can wash it in the sink with some dish soap. Boom, and it's dry out here in half an hour. I hang it up, clean underwear. Saves me tons of money on laundry because I don't need to go to a laundromat with all my stinky cotton underwear that lasts one day and you can't wash it in the sink. That'll save you tons of money. Check travel. What's my travel plans in Latin America? Well, I started in Mexico and I just came to El Salvador for 1 week, and now I'm spending 2 months in Nicaragua. I like it here so far. I'm having a really good time. I think it's a beautiful place. It's affordable. The people are super friendly. It's safe. There's lots to do, lots of nature. And then after that, I might go through Costa Rica. It depends on my money situation because I'm trying to build a business right now, and all I'm doing is working. And if I start making that dough, making that bread, I'll go to Costa Rica. And if not, I'll fly over it probably, because Costa Rica and Panama are like 4 times the price of Colombia. If you look at the map, you see Colombia's down here, and then you have Panama, Costa Rica, and Nicaragua. And so to go through those countries might cost a fortune just in accommodations and food and stuff like that. So I might just fly to Colombia again, or I might go to Peru, possibly Argentina, Ecuador. I don't know. Where should I go? Where do you advise me to go? Where are you going? Check. Do you have any plans to come down here? What's this little heart button? Here's a heart. Oh, I gave a heart to myself. Nice. So what else we got? Negotiate the prices. Yeah. Obviously, you can negotiate prices anywhere in the world, even in hostels. You show up to a hostel and you say, actually, if you don't book online, if you book online, you can't negotiate at all. But I found if you show up in person, you can negotiate for almost everything. Everything. Clothing, food, even. Yeah, so it's like a Western thing that we don't negotiate. We just accept the price. But in most of the world, you can say, hey, it's a bit much. Can you give me a better price? And people would rather give you a better price than lose you as a customer, which is good business sense. So don't be afraid to negotiate. I need to set up my tabs here better. I've got 100 tabs open. Okay. Water and snacks. Oh, this will save you tons of money. Okay, so see this water bottle? Every time I buy one of these, it costs $1 US. And you need to drink a ton of water. So at my place, I'll buy a great big jug. If I'm staying for a week, I'll buy like a 5-gallon jug of water, and I'll just keep filling this up. Like I bought a big jug, it cost me $3. It'll fill this 20 times. And then when I go to restaurants, I always have my own water because I don't drink juice. I don't drink pop. I drink beer in the evenings sometimes because that's how restaurants gouge you. You go out for food, and then the restaurant, I used to work in restaurants, and this was our trick to get the cost up, the spend up. Hey, what do you want to drink with that? Do you want some juice? Yeah, well, a juice is going to cost $3 in most nice restaurants, or even in the cheap restaurants, it's going to cost $2. And then it makes you fat, and pop makes you fat, and water is going to be double the price in a restaurant because no one gives you free water. So why would I pay $2 for your bottle of water when I could bring my own water in for free? It might be very cheap, Charlie, like super cheap, Charlie, but again, for me, money is time. And sometimes I'll buy the water just to support the restaurant because I think they're sweet. I'm like, I'm going to spend some more money in this restaurant. But if it's like some big fancy place where a bottle of water is $3 or something, which is not uncommon in tourist places, no, forget it. I got my own water. No thanks. And that saves a ton of money, man. Every day, if you're eating in coffee shops or restaurants twice a day, that could save you $3 to $6 a day. Just having your own drink in your bag. I used to be so cheap when I go partying, and I'd always have a flask. I would bring the flask with me into the bars, and I'd buy one beer or one drink, and then boom, for the rest of the night I'm drinking my own stuff, and that saved tons of money. Right? ST, you liked my Colombia videos. You just came back from a trip in Colombia, really? How long were you in Colombia for? It's still very cheap if you stay out of the tourist areas. Yeah, on a motorbike, one guy jumped off with a note and he said, "Fuck you," and he swung a bag at them and he ran away. Like, really dumb thing to do, man. If you get robbed, you should just give them whatever they ask for, because they will kill you. That happens all the time. Like 100% of tourist deaths over there, other than being scopolamine by the girls who put the scopolamine in your drink. And if you want to know about scopolamine, just look up dating dangers for men in Colombia, and you'll see one of my video about that. But other than that, it's a great country. It's super cheap, really pretty girls. The food leaves a lot to be desired, but it's affordable. It's actually pretty healthy, the food there, because they don't use a lot of oil and they don't use salt. Actually, they use no seasonings. Right. Travel insurance, I guess hypothetically you could save a lot of money if you hurt yourself and you have travel insurance. But I stopped paying for travel insurance like a year ago because I was spending $1,000 a year on travel insurance and I never needed it. If I ever had anything go wrong with me, it usually cost me less than $200. Like, even if you get in a car accident and you hurt yourself, but if you hurt yourself really, really bad, then yeah, you're going to save money with travel insurance. Currency always rips or euros, which is dumb. Just use the bank machine when you arrive. But you show up and then you want to exchange it. Always get them to write down. Say you're going to change $100. You say, "I have $100." You write it on a piece of paper and you slide it to them and you let them write down what they're going to give you and slide it back. And then you check it on your Currency Plus app. Because if you just hand them your money, this happened to me in London. They can give you whatever they want back. They could give you back $1 and legally you can't do a thing about it. You have no recourse because you made the deal, because you were too dumb to ask, "What's this worth?" It's a business and it's their job to scam the tourist. I was in Mexico and this lady, I was at a currency exchange and this elderly lady, she wasn't elderly, she was probably 60. And she walked in literally with like a stack of cash like you see in the movies, of brand new $100 bills with the white band around it. And she just slid it to them. And I saw the Mexican girls kind of look at each other. They all made eye contact, like, "Oh, we have a winner. Ching, ching, ching." And they handed her back some pesos and then they all went back to texting. And I said to the lady, "Dude, do you even know how much they gave you?" She's like, "Oh, I don't know. My husband just told me to exchange this." Those are rich people problems. So she just contributed a large chunk of money to the economy of Puerto Vallarta. Don't do that. And if you use the bank machine, a thing will come up saying currency exchange. "Hey, do you want us to change the currency for you?" No, always let your bank do it. It's a scam. They'll charge you like 20-30% more than your bank will for the currency exchange. So what I do is, whenever I'm leaving one country, I try to get rid of all that currency I can, or if I have to, turn it into USD before I leave and get the best price I can on that. I'm willing to spend like $5 to exchange money. If I give them $100 and it costs me more than $5, then they're scammers. Usually it should be one or two. Some places will charge you $20 to exchange $100. But like, say you're going from Cambodia back into Thailand, get rid of your riel and get rid of all your coins. Spend those coins because no one will exchange coins. Right now I have about $20 in coins because they give you in El Salvador $1 US coins. They're on USD, but they have these special $1 USD coins only for El Salvador, and I can't get rid of them because Nicaragua doesn't want them. Yeah, it's a pain. So you got to time it. And like, often I'll be at the airport and I'll just go outside looking for a beggar. Like, "Where's a beggar?" And just give them all my change. "Here, take it." Because I'd rather give it away than leave it on the shelf at hostels. And you see in hostels all over the world, stacks of change from all these other countries that people just got tired of carrying the weight around and they ditch them. Okay. Local SIM cards. So my family, I just met them in Mexico, and they were there for a week, and we're walking around, and no one could Google anything because none of them had roaming data on their SIM cards. And I'm like, you can get in Mexico a week with like 8 gigs of data for about $5. The first thing in America, you go to any like 7-Eleven or any tienda, you say, I get 14 gigabytes a month for here in Nicaragua on Claro for 10 US dollars per month. 14 gigs. It costs $2 for the SIM card. So you don't need to pay roaming charges. You don't need some fancy phone plan, man. You just show up and get a SIM card, and then when you're done, you put your old SIM card back in. You just save tons of money on that stupid roaming plan that you brought. What else is up? Any of you guys going and traveling anywhere else? What's your next travel plan? Where are you going? Where are you going next? Okay. Wow, it's been 37 minutes I've been on this call. Do I have any other tips for y'all? For y'alls? I don't think so. I think I talked about all the ways how cheap I am. Yeah, I just think time is money. I spend most of my days now working, trying to build up my dating advice business. If you're curious about it, it's called Absolute Ability. You can look it up on my other channel, Absolute Ability. Hopefully I don't get canceled. But I love you all. And I don't say stay safe. I think that's a dumb thing. Stay dangerous. Stay dangerous. Adios.